Somerville, Massachusetts, located 2 miles north of Boston, has a population of over 77,000 people. It is the densest city in New England and is rich with diversity. 1/3 of its residents are foreign-born, and more than 50 languages are spoken in the schools. Packed tightly with artists, families, blue-collar workers, young professionals, and students, the Somerville community is eclectic and alive with culture. In 2003, Somerville received an Active Living by Design grant from the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation to increase physical activity through community design. Somerville was charged and ready to go, united by a long history of bike and pedestrian advocacy and recent efforts to increase access to healthy foods. An additional grant in 2007 allowed the city to evaluate its active living projects. This document is a part of that evaluation, a visual exploration of the environmental and community supports for active living in Somerville.
It's a little dangerous to ride a bike around the city. So this safe bike zone just allows for activities, bicycling, in a safer context that is really welcome. If the bike path wasn't there, we wouldn't be doing that.
And it's great for people with kids.
Yeah.
With young kids.
It hooks up various places, destinations, so it's functional also.
A built environment that promotes physical activity can improve community health and enhance people's quality of life. Research suggests that a well-designed built environment can influence the amount of walking people do. For instance, we are more likely to walk on a street with sidewalks than a street without. Sometimes it's difficult to find time for exercise, but a supportive built environment can help make it easier. For example, living in a place where it is safe and convenient to walk to the grocery store allows you to fit activity into your day. Choosing to walk to the store instead of drive is an example of active living, which the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation defines as a way of life that integrates physical activity into daily routines. Dr. Michael Coffey, a physician who works and lives in Somerville, talks to his patients about making physical activity a habit and how the community walking path can play a role in that.
A lot of us are creatures of inertia, and once you're into a habit, it's easier to stick with. It's just that starting. So I talk to patients a lot about the ways that we burn calories, and one of those things I talk about are, I call them calories of daily living, and saying that if you can commute to work either through bike or by walking, that's a good way to do it. And it's certainly something that I talk to patients a lot about as a way to inject more activity into their daily life, particularly in a place like Somerville, where I see the bike path as a big asset that we have to be able to take advantage of.
The community path is an element of Somerville's built environment that encourages frequent walks and bike rides to the post office, the subway station, or just to get exercise. It is a 1-mile paved route that connects neighborhoods to Davis Square, one of the most popular destinations in Somerville. Over 500 people an hour take the path to Davis Square at commuting times. There is a constant stream of pedestrians on warm days, and even on the bitter cold ones. So what is it about the path that gets people to use it so frequently? The following are 6 principles of path design that support active living. Number 1. Connectivity. Connectivity refers to how easily you can walk from point A to point B. Are there sidewalks along your route? Are there busy intersections or detours that act as barriers to reaching your destination? The Somerville Community Path has sidewalks at each access point. Because it is on the site of an old railbed, it retains the railroad's right-of-way, crossing only a few street intersections. It also has regional connectivity. It connects to other path networks that take you to different towns and parks. The path links to the Minuteman Bikeway, which travels over 10 miles past Cambridge through Arlington, Lexington, and Bedford. Number 2. Safety. Design principles that enhance safety include crosswalks and sidewalks where pedestrians feel safe from car traffic. In addition to being car-free and having well-marked crosswalks, the Somerville path is lit at night, helping pedestrians feel safer at all hours of the day. Number 3. Links to transit. The community path links its users to other modes of transportation, such as the bus and the subway, which connect people to the larger region and city. This makes traveling to work or running errands possible without driving. At rush hour, commuters flock to the Davis Square subway station, where passengers can take the train to destinations all over the Boston area. Number 4. Varied land use. Pedestrians and cyclists benefit from the varied land uses around the community path. Having stores and amenities nearby helps people meet their everyday needs without using a car. Within a block or two of the path, there is access to shops, cafes, banks, grocery stores, pharmacies, a fitness center, and a library. Number 5. Path quality. The quality of the community path itself is key to its walkability. The path is smooth, without too many bumps or irregularities, making it accessible to wheelchairs, bikes, and strollers. The path is also wide enough for people to pass one another and to walk in groups. Number 6. Path context. Finally, pedestrians can observe a diversity of sights as they walk down the path, such as trees and flowers in the summer, sculptures, a playground, and a community garden. Now, listen to the voices of people on the path to hear how they experience the principles in their lives.
I'll use it for commuting the kids, bring them to daycare. On the weekends we'll go into Davis Square via the path. We'll also stroll along the path and sometimes go for long bike rides out past Alewife.
We use it to walk our dog. I use it to get to the T.
Get to the square.
To get to the square.
We cross it to go to the supermarket. To the park.
To the park.
Walk my dogs to get to work, to get from work.
We like to use it for mainly exercise, and we go down to Davis Square and we either go walking or we scooter down.
I use my scooter and I use my skates sometimes and walk fast. That was in the summer, and yeah.
Dr. Michael Coffey encourages people to make physical activity a part of every day. We asked people on the path how often they use it.
I use the path at least once a day.
Many times a week. Maybe once or twice a month.
I walk different hours each day, every day.
I use it every single day.
In the winter we use it maybe twice a week. In the summer, just about every day.
A built environment that promotes physical activity is an essential component of community health. The interviews illustrate how much people like and use the Somerville Community Path.
In a city that really doesn't have a lot of open space, this is the one spot where we can come to and not be around cars. It's a great pedestrian way too. It's not just a park. During every season, aesthetically, it's just a really nice experience as you're going someplace. The design of the community path facilitates walking and biking. But behind the scenes, a network of people keeps active living on the city's agenda. Somerville's team approach to active living has laid a solid foundation for success. From the mayor to the community advocates, there is a shared vision for a healthier, more active Somerville. Efforts to promote active living in Somerville extend beyond the community path into schools, community centers, streets, and kitchens. Starting in 2002, the health department along with local nonprofits banded together to obtain a series of grants that put local food into school kitchens, new bike racks on the streets, and freshly painted crosswalks into more intersections. In 2007, the results of the Shape Up Somerville study made national headlines for reducing body mass index in school children. The energy to do this work is contagious in Somerville. Community members,
local organizations, and municipal government each play a critical role. As luck would have it, the very first passerby we talked to on the path was Brian McKellar. In the 1980s, Brian helped build local support to transform an old railroad track into what is now the community path.
So we got this bright idea that this would be a really cool bike path. And also, we really wanted a community garden. So by total chance, we picked a night to go door to door and see if we could get some signatures on a petition to give to, I think it was Gene Brune was the mayor at the time. And it just so happened the night that I went out with this stack of petitions, it was like 0 degrees and brutal. And I walked up and down, and because it was so cold, when I knocked on people's doors, they would generally say, "Oh, come on in, it's too cold out there." And I ended up, over the course of several hours, collecting like 200 signatures, which was way more than any of us thought was possible.
Over 20 years later, citizen participation is still powerful.
But I've gone to some of the key meetings for the Green Line, and I mean, there was this one a few years ago where they had like 400 people on it the night the Red Sox won the first World Series of 2004. So that there's kind of there's this lore about that meeting and how dedicated people were.
Over 24 groups and organizations work together in the Active Living Partnership. For instance, Shape Up Somerville and the Green Streets Initiative worked together on walk-ride days, which encouraged people to commute to school or work in an active way. Senior planner Steve Winslow and the City of Somerville partnered with the Cambridge Health Alliance to negotiate a land transfer agreement so that the community path could be extended. Involved members of the community came up with the idea to build a park on the new land.
There was sort of a groundswell of collaboration and networking between the kinds of organizations that needed to come together on this particular project.
Mayor Joseph Curtatone has been a champion of active living, institutionalizing it at City Hall.
The mayor and I have a clear vision of promoting open space, promoting parks, promoting playgrounds, promoting physical activity, promoting healthy eating and living.
In Somerville, there's just that strong desire to do more for bike and pedestrian safety, and there's that strong political commitment from the mayor, from the aldermen. I mean, that's one of the dynamics in Somerville, that this partnership has made people more aware and made a more political desire and to make it happen. So I mean, that's really a key thing. We have plans that people want to implement. I mean, I think that's good. A lot of times people do plans and they just sit there, but there's the political will to implement them if we can find the financial resources to do it. So I mean, that's really a success there.
Communities seeking to foster a collaborative environment can look to Somerville as a model.
So right now there's about a half mile from Davis down to Cedar Street, and this would be another 2 miles we're adding.
After years of hard work, Somerville is primed to expand projects that promote active living into less served areas of the city, such as East Somerville. As you can see from this map, the path is currently limited to West Somerville, but plans are in place to extend it eastward, past the high school and City Hall, all the way to Boston. The green area represents people living within a quarter mile of the current path. The yellow area represents neighborhoods along the future path. Meanwhile, Boston's public transportation system will be expanding the subway into Somerville alongside the proposed path. With great anticipation, Somerville looks forward to a city that is more pedestrian-friendly and transit-oriented.
In particular, East Somerville is somewhat disconnected from City Hall area, and there's a huge amount of students who come up from East Somerville to Somerville High, and that will be a great connection.
Residents, organizations, and local government have worked successfully to create the community path that runs through West Somerville. With the extension, the neighborhoods of East Somerville will also be on the path to active living.
I wish it went all the way to Boston. That would be the most cool thing.
Somerville Sunday, best day by far this year. No false sense of security, so I see no boundaries. So I'm surrounded. All the time, yeah. Oh, la 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 la, la la la.